What's up, guys? It's Mickey, and welcome back to another episode of Blank Canvas. How is my BK fam feeling? I hope you guys are doing amazing, swell, excellent. I missed you guys. I missed talking to you guys. I hope you guys are really doing well. All right, let's jump into this week's episode. So, as you guys know, if you've been following along this journey that I've been doing, I've been praying to God, and I mean, that's a daily thing, but I've been really praying and searching for some answers. I don't know if I ever shared with you guys that, well, at the time that I'm recording this, I did a fast the week prior to this. And when I tell you, fast for me, they're not easy. So when churches be like, go 20 some days, baby, it was a struggle for me to go the 5. And I know, like, practice makes progress, you know. When they taught us in our generation, they were like, practice makes perfect. But in my brother's generation, it's practice makes progress, and I love that. It's something so freeing about that, and also realistic and attainable. So I may not ever be perfect at fasting, but what I can say is that practice does make progress. So as I try to, continue to do it and practice it and get better at it, hopefully I do grow to become better at it. But it was hard. It was hard because I don't even really want to eat in the morning, but when I was intentional about doing a fast, all of a sudden I'm suddenly so hungry. I feel like I was Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, and like, wait, is that where he was? I don't have my Bible in front of me, but wherever Jesus was, or was this when he was in the wilderness? I don't know. I don't want to steer y'all wrong, because I do not have my Bible in front of me, and I'm not about to take the time to Google the scripture real quick, because I want to go ahead and get to the point. But the point is, I feel like Jesus in that moment, when he was like, hey, he was getting tested by the devil, and the devil was like, well, if you are the Son of God, why don't you just do this? Or why don't you eat? And like, back up off me. And I felt like I was going through the same kind of thing. Like, all the times in the world, I'm not hungry in the morning. Like, it's rare. Or by the time I am, and I wasn't just hungry like later kind of thing. Like, I mean, it was like a hunger as, did I even eat dinner kind of thing. And I felt like that was intentional to try to get me to break my fast, but I was just too determined to not to. And I was fasting because I wanted some answers about some very serious decisions that I wanted to make in my life. And then the things that I was, fasting and praying about, I feel like some stuff was really big that I feel like we would all agree on were big, but then other things were small. But if you're trying to be more intentional about your life, which I have discussed on here that I am, and when I say intentional, I don't mean just about the big stuff. I mean about little things, small things, middle-sized things, like everything in between. I'm trying to be more intentional about. I'm trying to be more intentional about where I exert my energy. I'm trying to be more intentional about how I respond to people, whether I like them or not, whether they say something that I agree with or not. Even be more intentional about how I share, which I've talked about this on an episode, with how I share my pain, because I know my pain can cause other people pain. And yes, I can't necessarily always, how should I word this? I can't always, help me, Lord. I can't always, put everybody else's feelings over mine. But at the same time, there's a balance with being considerate when I do share the struggles and the traumas and different things that I've gone through, because it didn't just affect me, it affected other people around me. And then our traumas that we carry affect people that we meet in the future. It affect people that we've already have experienced in our lifetime and stuff. And we don't really realize how we are all super connected. We don't really grasp that. And, or if we grasp the concept, I don't think I can't say I don't know what y'all be out here doing, okay? Y'all could be a lot better than Mickey. And if y'all are, I'm really proud of y'all. Let me learn from y'all. But I should say, it's not always in the forefront of my head. I'll speak for myself. It's not always in the forefront of my head. Like, even though I know how connected we are, because it's not always in the forefront of my head, sometimes I move as if even saying certain things or doing certain things wouldn't have a lasting impact on somebody that's connected to me. And I also have the opposite problem. So I really need to find a good balance, where sometimes I will dedicate so much of myself to different things because I'm like, we are all connected, and we gotta, we gotta figure this out kind of thing. So I have to find a really good balance. But moving on, the reason I was even doing the fast was because I was looking for some clarity and I was looking for some answers. And I'll share a little bit of insight with you guys. One of the things that I was looking for clarity on is just decision making about different relationships in my life and moving forward. How do I want them to look? Or who do I still want around? Checking in, like, am I only keeping people around for convenience? Am I only keeping people around for comfort? Am I only keeping people around because I don't want to seem like a bad person? I'll share the story without sharing too many details, but there was a young man that was trying to talk to me, and I'm a ghoster. I'm a not text you kind of back. I kind of tell people like day one, I'm not trying to waste your time kind of thing. And a lot of people always be on me about don't cut it off too soon. Blase, blase. You like put yourself out there. You're never gonna know, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes I get the vibe and like I know it from the jump. And I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm trying to be just honest and bold about like, we don't have to waste time texting each other. I don't want people texting me or calling me just to say, hey, I talked to Mickey. Like, I want you to genuinely want to talk to me. I want to genuinely want to talk to you. Like, that's another thing. I don't want small talk. And I know sometimes it takes small talk to get there, but I don't know, with the different interactions and connections that I've built with people over time, and I mean all kinds of people, like even family connections, friendship connections, so forth and so on. Like, you may not always know at the beginning, but I feel like after some point you kind of know, like, you're dead weight or you're a filler. And I just don't have any energy for fillers in my life. So I was very honest with this young man about, look, I'm not trying to waste your time. And this person, I don't know if they didn't understand or what, or if it was just like it's the challenge of me saying no. Because, some men be like, ooh, she said no, let me see until I get her. I had to bring old Mickey out a little bit to be like, not happening kind of thing. Like, I was already very direct and respectfully clear the first time. I'm back on my ghosting stuff. And not for everybody, but specifically for that person, because I'm like, I tried to be honest and open and transparent up front, right? And the second time around, it just felt like people were just trying to either play in my face or just say that they got my number, or just be like, well, maybe I can like keep talking to her and weigh her down. You cannot. I'm a pretty stubborn girl. Ask anybody close to me in my life. I'm a pretty stubborn girl. And not a flex. I'm not saying that it's like, yeah, be stubborn, but I'm just saying I am. Like, I know that I am. So once my mind is made up, that's it. Like, even if I'm asking for your opinion, 9 times out of 10, my mind is made up. I'm just curious what you think. Honestly, I'm just curious to what you think kind of thing. So fast forward, I was, that was one of the things I was talking to God about. It's just about who I want in my life, who I want to exert my energy around, and just being intentional relationships. And I heard, what is his name? Goodness, I'm blanking out right now. He's Jackie Hill Perry's husband. What is his name? Preston. Preston Perry was on Megan Ashley's podcast, In Totality. I think I have shouted that out before, but if I haven't, make sure you guys go check out In Totality with Megan Ashley. It's a really good podcast, and she has some really good episodes with some really good guests. Also, go check out the Perrys. I don't watch them all the time, but people say they really love the episodes of the Perrys, so I would encourage that too. See if it's your vibe. See if either one is your vibe. I'm giving y'all some good content, some good resources to try to learn from, whether it's them breaking down the Bible or just sharing their personal experiences. It's just learning from each other. So he was on Megan Ashley's podcast, In Totality, and he was explaining how basically, these is not his exact words. I'm paraphrasing, but basically it was saying like, when people find out that like you're a good man or a good guy, the first thing that they want to do when the guy is like, trying to really discover and learn the Lord for the Lord and what is an intimate relationship with the Lord look like for him, the first thing that they kind of do is kind of be like, you're a good man, you're in church, you're seeking the Lord, you make a good husband. And then like try to set them up. And again, those weren't his exact words. I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but it got me thinking like, and then he goes into breaking down like, but is anybody really like teaching them how to be good husbands, or is it just like you will make a good husband, so let me pair you up, but not really leaving like the proper tools and everything. And then I was thinking of how many men are good men, but are they ready to be husbands, and vice versa. I'm a female, okay? I want to be a wife one day, but am I ready to be a wife? No. And you know how I know? Because God be reading me for filth and he be checking me. Okay? He was like, girl, you want me to send you a husband? I'm like, yeah, God, send me my godly husband. And, when you send, you know what I need, God. You know what I like. You know what I need, without going into too many details. And he was like, okay, cool. But here's some things you need to work on. I was like, me? Not that I'm perfect or anything, because clearly I know I have work to do. I say that on multiple episodes, but me, I'm not worried about me right now. I'm telling you what I want in a godly husband. I'm telling you how I want to be chosen. I'm telling you how I am sick of men being like, yeah, Miki, you're good enough, but you're not good enough to be my wife, or you're good enough, but you're not good enough for this. Like, I'm tired of just being good enough. Like, I know you value me, God, but that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, I literally was telling God, like, yeah, I know you value me. Yeah, I know my worth comes from you, but it don't hold me at night. Like, that's how, I'm just being real. Like, that's what I'm talking about with God. Like, but I'm not trying to, like, have babies with you, God. Like, thank you for blessing me with the babies, but, I'm not trying to do the act with you that to have them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want a full-fledged life, and I'm telling God these things, and he's like, girl, you be ready to run as soon as they make you too mad. You still are in the stage of shutting down. Okay. First of all, like I told you, God, it's not about me. I'm telling you what I want in a godly husband. And he was like, that's good. But I'm telling you what you need to work on before I can even see your godly husband. Because just like I love you, I love them. And I will not give your godly husband over to you for you to damage them, for you to bleed on them, for them to be ready, and you to only be ready in the sense of you want this, but not ready as if you're ready to handle this. You think I'm going to give him to you in that way for you to fumble it, basically. And I was like, no, you wouldn't. He's like, I love them like I love you. And don't I stand 10 toes down and then some for you? Don't I want the best for you? Like, the love that y'all see on TV shows and in society, or the lack thereof, because I believe it's a lack thereof. Like, it got to a point where I had to literally sit and ask God, like, is love even a real thing? You know what I mean? Like, okay, I know the love of a mother to child, some kind of thing, or a parent, or a friend, or something like that, but that real love, not like we stayed together through so much BS and somehow we made it through kind of thing. Like, no, like real love where somebody wants to see you every day. I always say, you don't have to like me all the time or the whole day, but you do need to love me. Like, is there a person who will love me enough to be like, you are worthy. You are worthy of me not hurting you. You are worthy of me not putting others over you. You are worthy enough of just being chosen in a certain way. And it's hard to explain because, a lot of people could relate that back to daddy issues. I'm not gonna steer away from that, because some of that could be because my dad walked out of my life at 7. Had he been around, anybody who may have been like, oh yeah, you're great, but you know what I mean? I wouldn't have heard the but and been like, damn, so it is me. It is something with me, right? I would have heard the but and been like, okay, not you, next. Like, what? Like, next? Or I would have had certain signs to feel it a certain way, or to know, like, oh, this is a clear telltale sign, right? No matter what they say, this is a clear telltale sign. You ain't even got to worry about it. You don't have to think twice, because it would have been things, hopefully, had my dad done his job, that I would have just known and felt from my dad. But then I don't want to negate the fact that sometimes having your dad can work in the opposite. And not opposite in like all the ways, but like I heard a girl who said she did have a girl in her life and her dad taught her to be independent, and she had to unlearn that hyper independence. And they say it's just like women who don't have their dad. Well, some people say it's women who don't have their dads and blah, blah, blah. Or it's the moms that raise the girls so tough and to be so independent. But there are a slew of women who are openly admitting, like, no, I had my daddy and he still taught me, you don't need a man for this, you don't need a man for that, you need to know how to do this and this. And I'm like, we don't even know how to rely on each other in the ways that God wants us to rely on each other, right? Like, even the simple things. I noticed something about the women in general in my family. All of us is like, we'll just do it. Like, if somebody asks us if we need help, even if we are drowning, or even if it's just like common sense, help them out, we'll just say, oh, no, thank you, or I got it. And I never really noticed, because I'm not around my family that often, besides very specific family members, I never really noticed how it was a pattern that runs through the women in our family. Like, I thought, like, okay, I do it. Like, okay, my mom does it. She thought, like, she ruined me with it. But and then I started noticing it in other women and aunties and grandma, like, probably in cousins, everything. That runs in the family. And we don't talk to each other enough to be like, hey, this is a pattern that runs in the family. When you get with the man, you can't be that independent. Like, I'm sorry. And I think sometimes men get a bad rap for this. Like, ew, man. Like, if you don't make them feel needed and wanted, they want to go away. Well, I feel like we would do the same thing. Like, if we were in a relationship with men and we were like, they were like, oh, I don't really need you for this. I don't really need you for that. Like, I mean, you cool and all, but, but I don't really need you. I don't really want you. And when I say need, I don't mean like a codependency kind of thing. Like, my goal is to be interdependent. Like, depend on you in the ways that I need to depend on you, but not to the point where my life is falling apart if, God forbid, something happens to you kind of thing. Like, not one of those situations, right? And so, God, that was a lot. I'm gonna let y'all digest that for a second. That was a lot. And so my point of that is that was another thing that God was working on me on. Like, girl, you shut down. Girl, sometimes, like, even if you are dying and struggling and need help, you can know you need this and you don't even know how to receive help. Like, people would be like, can I feed you? No. Can I bless you with some gas? No. Can I help you with like this and that? No, I got it. I'm gonna figure it out. Like, even if I have nowhere to begin, it's just like, no, I'll figure it out. And he was pointing out simple things of that nature that I do. And he's like, but when you get a husband and it's time for him to lead, or you need help, can you go to him? Will you go to him? Will you let him help you? Or you be like, oh, babe, I'll figure it out. I love you, but I'll figure it out. Like, what? Do you even know how to be a true partner? Like, you're focusing on how so-and-so hurt you this way, or how men not bleep, and this area. But have you even figured out? And I understand you're telling me what you want. But are you the woman you need to be? Or are you even working on, which, yes, I am. Yes, I am working on it. Are you even working on certain things to be the type of wife you need to be? And not just wife as wife, and not just wife as the way society looks at it, but like biblically, like, are you working on being that kind of wife? Are you working on being that kind of helpmate? Like, do you even know the basics of being a helpmate? And then, can you be moldable enough? And I hate to use moldable, because I'm not saying like the man itself doing it. I mean like God molding us, right? Can you be moldable enough? Like, can you be the clay and I'm the potter, and us being the clay, God being, no, right? Potter mold the clay. Clay mold the potter, whatever. His hands are the ones that's like crafting us, right? And Can you be that? Can you be that? Can you let me mold you? Can you let me get you to even have the heart posture that you need to be, to be the type of helpmate? Can you be molded into a specific type of helpmate for your partner? Can you do those things? I answered honestly. Like, some things I could say yes to, some things I could say no to. And he was like, you ain't ready. And it's okay. Like, I understand society is making you feel like it's time. But if I gave you your husband today, you fumble it. And you're already trying to be intentional about so many things. And I already know how you view marriage. And I know how you view kids. And I know how you view family. I also know the experiences that you've had personally with your own family. I know the things that you saw. I know the stories that even your friends have told you, right? Like, it's your scars, it's other people's scars. And you are taking all that in and creating your own analysis of what it should look like, what it should be. But if I gave them to you today, would you be ready? And my answer was no. And so he was like, okay, we got things to work on. But I felt like it was also a little comforting. He didn't say I'm not going to send him. But it was like, you got to get back to where if I don't send him, like, if I say you're worthy enough, that's fine. You don't need somebody else to say, hey, you're great, but like, you're going to be like, I'm great, and I mean, it may be a but for you, but I'm great, and to me. And it's not I want to be very specific when I say not like on some narcissistic kind of time or like I'm perfect kind of thing. It's more like on God knows I'm worthy and then some. God sees my value and then some. And it's like, because I can't physically see God or always physically like touch him and talk to him, like, we're humans. He knows what he designed us for. He designed us for relationship. He designed us for comfort. And he knows the things that we need, and he's not going to leave us hanging. But he also knows the things that we lack and what we need to work on. And I think the most beautiful thing, he said, just like I love you, I love them. I'm not going to give him to you to fumble him. I'm just not. And I'm not going to give you to them for them to fumble you. You're just going to have to walk this journey. And we all know how impatient I am. So walking the journey is hard, and just really realizing that, okay, I got to be comfortable with just God's approval. Like, and I think for me, I've explained this before, I was never the girl that was like asked to prom or like the girl that everybody wanted to have kind of thing. Like, I was never that girl. In a sense, everybody has basically told me, you're such a great person, but I love you so much, but I mean, you're cool and all, but oh, you're fantastic. I've never felt anything like this in my life, but, and the buts are just like, well, what's wrong with me? God, will you ever send somebody who looks at me and says, I love you, and I love you. I don't know, give me another positive transition word. I can't even think about one right now. But listen, it don't have a but. It's not like a contrast. It's not like a comma and then another statement of, but you're not worthy in this kind of way. Or, but you're not good enough for me kind of thing, right? It's always back to, I guess, that feeling of somewhere in there, human beings don't see me as good enough. Whether it's I'm not doing things that's good enough for people anymore, or maybe I don't act a certain way that's good enough for people anymore, or so many things. I can really find so many areas in my life where I could point out where people have either said it or have constantly said it, or their actions have reminded me. Like, sometimes I have questions to answers I didn't even have to ask, but it's like hearing it, you can't run away from what you hear. And sometimes their actions showed me long before I even heard it. Because if it wasn't the other way or the current way or whatever, or however I'm trying to say it, if it wasn't with the but, some of the actions would have been so different. But then it's like God is showing me how we as humans, we are complex. And there are so many things he's working through us and on us. And I'm looking at all of the above. I'm looking at the bigger picture. I'm looking at this, that. And God has to bring me to present moment, present time, and just be where my feet are. And I myself need to be in his presence just to be like, this is what I got to work on. Okay. This is what I still need to do. Or these are the people that do love you. These are the people that do value you. I think Lala said it best. She was like, we always focus on the people who don't show up to celebrate us, but we miss all the people who actually did. We don't focus on the people who actually did. We don't focus on the people who actually do see us valuable. We just focus on the ones who say, yeah, you're good, but not good enough. And I just want to say for anybody, because maybe men feel this way too, or the ladies, anybody who's listening to me right now, when you feel like you're not good enough and you honestly feel like kind of like me, like, God, I know that you give me my value. I know that you give me my worth, but that doesn't really comfort me. You know what I'm saying? And it should. And you probably feel conflicting feelings of like, it should. And maybe it doesn't comfort because it's a luxury to know that God will never leave me. Maybe we chase after temporary things, like we're all borrowed people on borrowed time. Maybe we chase the feelings of people and things because we know that they are temporary and that time is always moving and it waits on no one. But God is eternal and he stands outside of time. So there's a part of me that like, I know you'll love me regardless, but will so-and-so? I know you'll be here for me regardless, but will so-and-so? Like, it's a different level of, I have to be very careful about investing into them because will they still love me? Will they still value me? Will they leave me? Right? So many people have left me. If I'm not perfect, will they kick me off this pedestal? Which I don't need to be put on another pedestal in my life. Okay? I was on a pedestal I didn't ask to be on, and when I got kicked off, as humiliating and a slew of other emotions that it was also freeing all at the same time. So not only do I not want to be on a pedestal, I have to work on not putting people on the pedestals I don't want to be on. I got to allow people to be human. I have to allow grace. I have to go to God and be like, how do I handle the people you sent in my life? Because we are borrowed people on borrowed time. And I know I started off this episode talking about men, but the way the Holy Spirit just kind of led me was, God wanted me to talk more about me. And I was going to go in the path of, are there even any good men still out there? But I think in reality, I know there are good men out there. But good men are not perfect men. And good men practice makes progress. Like, I'm not saying practice being a good person, but then sometimes I am. Depends on the situation. I am sometimes talking about be a good person. And I am saying like practice, like we have to practice searching for the Lord, seeking him out, really paying attention to where he is in our day, not just praying in the morning or at night or whenever we randomly think about it. Like there is a scripture that's like, pray without ceasing. And when you hear it, you're like, that's impossible with living a life. But when you realize praying is nothing but a conversation and really checking in, like when you're praying without ceasing, you're really checking in with him throughout your day. God, should I do this? God, should they be here? God, should I make this move? God, should I open this business? God, should I even invest in this relationship? We're so comfortable with empty and surface level connections that sometimes my desire for more and deepness, and everything doesn't have to be that deep, but sometimes my desire for more and deepness makes me wonder, does it even exist? Right? And I think deep down, I know it does exist, but when you see the things you do on TV, when you hear the things you hear in songs, which is why he tells us to protect our ear gates, our gates. When you listen to other people's stories that you know personally, you're like, this love is made up. Like, it's not out here. It's not. And then there was like this trend on TikTok or something where people were like, please give the girlies hope and share their positive stories. I'm here for it. I feel like we need to drown out the noise of love doesn't exist, and we need to share our positive testimonies. We also need to share that, hey, I struggle with this feeling, and eventually God worked with me on it, and I had to remind myself that I do need to get my true worth and value from him. And then God blessed me to, understand so-and-so better, or understand this is where I needed to improve, and so forth and so on. You know what I mean? Like, I hope all that makes sense, right? Because I swear I thought we were going in the direction of do good men exist, and the Holy Spirit just took me on a whole different direction of talk about the things that you still need to work on. Talk about how you know that, yes, good men exist, but just because you know they exist doesn't mean that you get to have them in that capacity any sooner than you're supposed to, because you're not allowed to fumble them like they're not allowed to fumble you. And I said, well, oop, tell me then, Lord. Tell me then. So that's all I got for this episode. I hope it's a little encouraging, or maybe just insightful. Or maybe you guys can just listen to me and be like, well, glad I'm not her. Glad I'm not her. And for anybody who wants to pray, y'all pray for my godly spouse. And y'all pray that I am the godly spouse and helpmate that I need to be as well. So I love you guys. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week, or whenever you take the time out of your day to listen to Little on Me. I can't wait to see what we talk about next time. All right, guys. Bye.